And thank you, Assembly Member, for allowing Mr. Cooley to go first. We'll just wait a second until people exit the room. If we can get the door closed. All right, Assembly Member Medina, please go forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present AB 373, which is a measure that would require training for law enforcement officers directly interacting with or servicing Indian tribal lands. California today is home to the largest population of Native Americans in our nation. Indian tribal communities face obstacles unknown to many other communities throughout California. A serious issue affecting tribal governments and their communities today is Federal Public Law 280, or PL 280. PL 280 has proven to be a very complicated statute since the time of its enactment in 1953. It has often been misunderstood and misapplied by both federal and state governments. These laws encompass crucial criminal justice issues relating to violence against Indian women, full faith and credit given to tribal court protection orders, and the protection of Indian children on or off tribal land. These issues stem from a lack of training and understanding of Indian country by department personnel in regards to the historical, cultural, and legal aspects of policing Indian reservations. The failure of state law enforcement to respond to crime in Indian country or to respond in a timely manner highlights the necessity of AB 373. This measure will ensure that necessary officers are trained in PL 280 and how federal, state, and tribal law enforcement authorities are to work together for the common goal of public safety within the Indian country. With me today is Tribal Member Alex Torres, a member of the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla Tribe and a retired Riverside Police Department Lieutenant Area Commander for 33 years, and most recently a founding member of the Riverside Tribal Liaison Unit.
All right, then two witnesses, 2 minutes each, and it sounds like you are an expert on both sides.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. It is true, I am a tribal member and law enforcement. Prior to joining the Riverside County Sheriff's Department as a tribal liaison, I worked in the city of Riverside, and there were laws that were on the books. I never heard of Public Law 280 or the Violence Against Women's Act. I was never trained. When I joined the Riverside Sheriff's Department as a tribal liaison, I went to all the tribal nations throughout California, and I was amazed. Even with my own agency, the first question I asked when I went back to meet with the executive staff after I met with our tribal nations, I asked them how many tribes did we have in Riverside County, and nobody knew. We know very little about tribal nations. We have over 566 Native American nations in the United States. California, we have the second largest number. We have 111 tribes in the state of California, and we know very, very little about any of them, and they're all uniquely different. They're not the same. Alaska has 225 tribes, and then between San Diego and Riverside County, we have 30 tribes. So that's quite a bit, but I've never heard of Public Law 280. I've never heard about Violence Against Women's Act, the Tribal Law and Order Act, Indian Civil Rights Act, Indian Gaming Act. There's no training. So we did create a tribal liaison within the county of Riverside, and the mission of law enforcement in Indian country is very, very different because we have very limited criminal jurisdiction in Indian country. We cannot, anything that's regulatory is not enforceable in Indian country. So we had law enforcement personnel towing cars from casino parking lots, writing tickets for handicap parking, those type of things, towing vehicles out of the parking lot for unregistered. They're all illegal. There is no justification for doing that. And we learned that our deputies were not trained in Public Law 280 in what they could or could not do. Not only did it impact the Sheriff's Department, but it also impacted the whole judicial system, because when they were writing those tickets for parking and handicap parking or any other violation, they go to the courts. And if the tickets are not paid, they go to warrant. So now an officer stops that person on that warrant to make an arrest on a ticket that has no validity. It created a problem for our judicial system. So we set up one of our missions in that team is education, building relationships, and improved service.
All right. Mr. Cooley, is this your only witness?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll give you a little bit more time. Perhaps you could talk about what can be enforced on tribal land.
The only laws that can be enforced on tribal land are criminal prohibitive laws across the state, i.e. robbery, rape. But where it gets tricky is trespassing. Is that regulatory or not? As a matter of fact, the state of California Riverside County gave birth to Las Vegas-style gambling because the laws on the book says gambling is illegal in the state of California. But the question is it really? It really is not, because we allow bingo for churches and events. We also have horse racing. We also have the lottery. So is it really illegal across the board? No, it's not. And if it's not illegal across the board, it's not enforceable. So those are some of the things that get tricky in Indian country that we have never taught our deputies. Again, writing tickets in parking lots, we can't do those things. No seat belts. Speeding is also regulatory, so we can't stop cars speeding on tribal land, but we never had any formalized training. We did create a curriculum, and most recently, I've been working with Post, and we did establish a DVD, but the problem with the DVD, it raises questions, but there are no answers. So we most recently created a curriculum that has been certified by Post, that's offered through Cal State San Marcos, that will provide training on Public Law 280, Violence Against Women's Act, Tribal Law and Order Act. Why those are so important, for the first time last year, tribal law enforcement can now go to certified state academies, which they have taken advantage of.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
So questions and comments. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, I'm a little confused about something, because I'm reading in the analysis of the bill that there's great concern that there's not a proper or fast enough response to rates of domestic and sexual violence.
That's correct. We do not provide proactive patrol on tribal lands. We are response only because they're a sovereign nation.
Which is, you're not suggesting that we change that, are you?
No.
Okay, so hold on.
No,
okay.
We're not.
So you have a concern about the shocking rates of domestic violence and sexual violence, but you also talked about all of the things that can be enforced on tribal lands, which is not the same. I mean, you were talking about parking tickets and handicap spots and things like that, and then you switched, though, in your statements about there being a shocking amount of sexual and domestic violence. So I'm just, they don't seem to jive, okay? Secondly, you were with Riverside County Sheriffs, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you last served with them in what year?
August of this past year. I just recently resigned.
You just recently retired?
In August.
So I spoke with Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff yesterday, and he informed me that there is indeed training because there are so many tribal lands within his area of jurisdiction. Are you not aware of those?
I created the curriculum.
Okay, so then why would we need to mandate this on a statewide basis if the training is already in existence? That's
Ms.
what I don't
Melendez, if I
understand.
could answer,
Certainly.
I think that it is true. You know, it definitely is true that there is training in Riverside County. I think the intention, and Mr. Torres designed that training. So the intent of this bill is to make sure that law enforcement throughout the state of California, many of whom do not have this kind of training that Riverside County does have, give that training to their law enforcement officers throughout the state of California. Because there are many agencies throughout the state with tribes in their vicinity that do interact that don't have that training.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? All right, then. Assemblymember Medina, you may close. Oh, excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. Witnesses in opposition.
Did we have, Mr. Chair? I don't think you gave an opportunity.
Oh, for
because we may
witnesses
have
in
had.
support. Oh, boy. I blew it this time. All right, first witnesses in support. I'll get used to this. Don't worry.
Good morning, Assemblymember and members of the committee. Krista Nimzik with the California Partnership to End Domestic Violence, and strong support for many of the issues already mentioned in the analysis and by the witness.
Thank you. Witnesses in support again. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tracy Allen. I'm the Director of Public Safety for the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians in Southern California. Our tribe has reservation land on both San Bernardino County and Riverside County, and although you're correct that Riverside County does have an active liaison unit that works with Public Law 280 within the tribe, San Bernardino does not. We've just recently opened up a casino, and San Bernardino officers at the line level are lost on Public Law 280, and on behalf of our tribe, I stand in support of Assembly Bill 373.
Thank you.
Dennis Garcia on behalf of the California Attorneys for Criminal Justice in support.
All right, then witnesses in opposition. Mr. Salzillo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Corey Salzillo on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association. Unfortunately, here in opposition to AB 373. First, would just like to note that this bill represents another unfunded mandate on law enforcement regarding training. Law enforcement is not opposed to additional training where necessary, where there's a gap, but as been discussed already, law enforcement agencies have the discretion to offer this training, and in fact, many do. The post video was mentioned. There is training in place. Counties and cities have the jurisdiction and have the authority to offer this training should they decide that it's important enough, that it meets with the priorities of their local areas, and that's where we think the priority should lie. I think also that the bill too broadly defines the jurisdictions that we're talking about. So the bill refers to a jurisdiction where an area that is in or adjacent to tribal lands, or that officers who may respond to calls in or adjacent to tribal lands. Frankly, I think that could apply to nearly every officer in a county. So in a county like San Diego or Riverside or San Bernardino that has tribal lands, but that also has quite a big geographical area and a lot of residents, it could inappropriately apply to every staff member of a law enforcement agency unnecessarily. And you may have a jurisdiction that may have tribal lands but may not have a lot of residents on those tribal lands, and they may not have gaming. So things that can impact the need for additional use or training. So for those reasons, we respectfully oppose the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Salzillo. Any other comments from members? Any other witnesses in opposition? All right. Bill is moved by Assemblymember Gonzalez, second by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify because I understand your concern with the appropriate amount of training being conducted, and I would agree with you there. The issue is the unfunded mandate that you would be placing on local law enforcement, where many are already providing that training. So it almost seems as though...
Could I respond to that?
No, because I'm still talking, but hold on. many law enforcement agencies are already providing this training. So it feels like we are trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist on this scale that has been suggested here. I did speak with Riverside County sheriffs yesterday. We share a relationship with those folks there, and they understand the need. They agree that where training is appropriate, it should be taking place, and oftentimes it is. But to suggest that, or require actually, that it's done statewide is an area of concern. So for that reason, I'm not going to be able to support the bill today. But if any changes are made or you want to have further discussion, I'm happy to do that. But I have to go by, what my local folks are telling me that is necessary or is unnecessary, and that's what they've informed me of. Thank you.
I in closing, if I may, the law is complicated.
You may close.
The law is complicated, and to send untrained officers, which I think does happen throughout the state of California, onto Indian sovereign land without knowing the law and the implications of their actions, I think is an injustice to not only the residents of the Indian reservation, but on the police officers themselves. And because of that complication of the law, I do think it is necessary that we look for training and education of our officers as they interact with native tribes. So I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All right. I think your close was excellent. I understand that you're concerned that perhaps every county then has to have this training. That's not the intent of the author. I hope something can be worked out in the language, or that you can be, or the sheriffs can be convinced in the language that that's not the case. I recommend an aye vote. We've had a motion and a second, and Madam Secretary, you may call the roll.
Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Melendez? Melendez, no. Gonzalez? Gonzalez, aye. Jones Sawyer? Aye. Jones Sawyer, aye. Lackey?
Aye.
Lackey, aye. Lowe? Aye. Lowe, aye. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Bill is out.
Bill is out 6-1. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We next have our alumni, Assembly Member Waldron. We really miss you. So this is item number 1, AB 32.
I'm here in spirit, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. I'm here today to present Assembly Bill 32 in committee mock-up form. AB 32 provides that computer crimes involving copying, distributing one or more digital images that displays an intimate body part of a person to be added to the statute of limitations so that the clock does not begin to run out until the offense is discovered. AB 32 also increases misdemeanor fines for computer hacking and systems from current $5,000 penalty to up to $10,000. In 2013, Target found 40 million customers' accounts were hacked, releasing customer names, credit cards, and debit card information. In 2014, graphic naked poses surfaced of actress Jennifer Lawrence on Twitter, and a hacker responsible is said to have 60 images in his possession of the Hunger Games star. That's a clear violation of privacy. The actress did not know she was hacked and did not intend for her personal photos to be leaked and sent out to the public. Existing fines are just a small sum compared to the dollar amounts that can be obtained from accessing personal information and comprising computer systems. I would also like to thank the chair and committee for working with me on this bill. And here I have with me Mr. Tim Yaryan, representing various law enforcement organizations, and he will be our witness and be happy to answer any questions.
All right.
Good morning,
Please go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, members of the committee. Tim Yaryan. I'm here today representing the Association for Deputy District Attorneys in Los Angeles, the Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, and the Riverside Sheriff's Association in support of the bill. First of all, it's a real honor and privilege to be here in support of a former alumni of the committee's bill, and I was honored to be able to support your bill in this way. I think everybody that's on computers and on the internet today knows of the problem we have with hacking, with interference, with revenge porn. Clearly, the incentives to fish and take advantage of people is that the current law is insufficient to deter this kind of conduct. This bill will help take the profit out of that by increasing the fines. And also, anybody that's been on the internet knows that things can happen. You don't even know about them for months and years. And so extending the statute of limitations to the date of discovery makes perfect sense. So for those reasons, we are all in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Other witnesses?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, John Lovell. I'm here representing the California College and University Police Chiefs Association. They protect about 3 million people and deal with all of the same crimes everyone else does. And the unhappy reality is that there are some crimes that occur more frequently in a college environment, and among that cohort of crimes are computer hacking crimes and the various revenge porn activities that take place. This is a very good sense bill, and we strongly support it and commend the author for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Mr. Lovell. Other witnesses in support?
And with the California District Attorneys Association, I want to thank the author and the committee for the amendments. We now are in support of the bill. Thanks.
All right. Witnesses in opposition? It appears that, and thank you again for taking the amendments so that we can go forward now with questions from the committee or comments. Moved by Madam Vice Chair, second by Assemblymember Gonzalez. Since are there any other comments or questions, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you. And again, it is very good to see you again and to know that you've gone on to become floor leader, and you're doing a great job there.
Thank you.
All right. The bill has been moved and seconded. Again, thank the author for taking the amendments. Madam Secretary, you may call the roll.
Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Gonzalez? Gonzalez, aye. Jones Sawyer?
Aye.
Jones Sawyer, aye. Lackey?
Aye.
Lackey, aye. Lowe?
Aye.
Lowe, aye. Santiago?
Aye.
Santiago, aye.
All right. So thank you very much. Bill is out unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. Assemblymember Roger Hernandez.
Good morning.
Item number 7, AB 246.